And there we are, live on YouTube with Mickey. Good to see you, my friend. Turning the mic over to you.
All righty. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Karen. Beautiful as always. I get inspired by you so much. So, uh, anybody want to do the truly thankful prayer for me, or help us center all of our only one self, as Zulma likes to say? Or I can do it. Clearly, I'm the one that needs it the most. I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent Him, the Christ who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do because He who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever He wishes, knowing He goes there with me, and I will be healed as I let Him teach me to heal. So, this is the topic for the last few weeks that I've been going over because I, Holy Spirit had me get a little miffy at how quickly this guy at our in-person group was going through this. And I was like, we don't pay enough attention to this. We have to think about this while we say it. It's not doing anything if we just rush through it. So I decided to use this as the topic for a series on here. And the first week we went through what is it to be here and to be present, and what is it to be helpful. Um, and as I stated, it is not for me to fix, and it is not for me to give advice, which I still always try to do. Um, then we talked about the Christ who sent us and what that means to us. And the lesson today, speaking of the Christ, I have to go over the lesson from today for a minute because it really cemented this for me, because it says, I have no self except the Christ in me. So, I don't even have to think of Him who sent me because He is in me. This really got to me today. I have no purpose but His own, and He is like His Father. Thus I Thus must I be one with you as well as Him, and the you is capitalized in the Him. So we know it's talking about I must be one with Christ and I must be one with God. So how can I even think that this outside entity named Christ sent me somewhere? I have to own this. I was with my two gals that I do the course with every morning. And this morning I said, yeah, we have to take Christ down off that pedestal, thinking that, He's so much higher and different from us. Either that or we have to climb up on that pedestal ourselves, one or the other, because otherwise we are in a skewed perception. Um, Thus must I be one with you as well as Him. For who is Christ except your Son as you created Him? And what am I except the Christ in me? How can we be separate and believe that? How can we read this course and believe that we're separate from anything, including Christ, including Holy Spirit, including God, who we think are so far beyond us? Anyway, uh, that was the second week. The third week was I did not have to worry about what to say or what to do. So I can trust. And so we spent some time talking about trust. And this week, this was a great line for me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. Am I content to be wherever I am? Am I content in this moment? Was I content yesterday? So I got to show you guys. Come on, mister. Come on up here. Let everybody see you. This is Mr. Bruce. We'll talk about Mr. Bruce a little bit today. Here he is, the most handsome cat in the world. Vet came yesterday. Fortunately, we had an appointment, so the vet was already coming to our house, which I love, that we don't have to go to some cold office. And a couple of days before his appointment, Bruce started walking into the wall and the sofa and stepped into his food bowl. And was I content with what was going on? Heck no. I freaked out. I've known for over a year now that Bruce has kidney disease and, put him on all this special food and gave him special medicine and did all the things trying to, keep him around in this furry little body some more. And I thought, oh, geez, this is it. This is it. The vet's going to come. She's going to say it's time for him to move on to another plane. And I was not ready and I freaked out. Well, Bruce got a stay of execution, thank God. And, but I was not content, and I was very relieved. But it seems like he might not be around in this little body too much longer. So I was experiencing a lot of not being content yesterday, but I got myself centered, and we had a great night, and I'm realizing that this is for me. Nothing is going on that isn't for me. I'm content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. Boy. So, you guys know that I love playing the word search game in the online course, and I played the word search game with the word content, thinking, oh, sure, this will be easy. Well, it's not, because the word content is spelled exactly the same as the word content. So there wasn't very much that showed up for content, except for what it is to not be content or to not settle. And I found, and I went yesterday. It was hysterical. I went down this rabbit hole of word search and wordplay, symbols of symbols, and came up with so many beautiful passages that weren't necessarily using the word content. But the first one that I came across was from chapter 12, section 8, the attraction of love for love. And it says, Son of God, be not content with nothing. What is not real cannot be seen and has no value. Don't be content with an illusion. Don't be content with love acting like love but not being love. Don't be content with what we think is going to fulfill us in the world of form. Don't be content with all those things that we try and do that fill nothing of our soul. What is not real cannot be seen and has no value. God could not offer his son what has no value, nor could his son receive it. You were redeemed the instant you thought you had deserted him. None of this is happening. We never left the mind of God. Don't be content thinking this is real. You were redeemed the instant you thought you had deserted him. Everything you made has never been and is invisible because the Holy Spirit does not see it. Yet what he does see is yours to behold, and through his vision, your perception is healed. And I discovered something that I never thought of before. Where's my happy learner section? There's happy learner. Dove likes to say if a sentence only has 3 or 4 words in it, you know it's important. You know it's important. Well, I found a whole sentence that's repeated in the course, so it's got to be important. So in the attraction for love, it says, Son of God, be not content with nothing. And then in the Happy Learner, which is chapter 14, section 2, in paragraph 5, sentence 7 says, I said before. I love it. A couple of times he said, I have told you, or as I said before. This is one of those, but it's word for word this time. I said before, be not content with nothing, for you have believed that nothing could content you. It is not so. And then paragraph 6 goes on to say, if you would be a happy learner, and boy, I'll tell you, when I've told you guys about how I resisted doing any kind of teaching. When Dove said, you need to sign up for a slot, I was like, no, I'm good. I just like being a participant. I'm fine. I'm just a happy learner. I'm not a teacher. I am just a happy learner. If you would be a happy learner, you must give everything you have learned to the Holy Spirit to be unlearned for you, and then begin to learn the joyous lessons that come quickly on the firm foundation that truth is true. For what is builded, I wonder how Helen felt about that in terms of grammar. Ken is always talking about how Helen was such a stickler for grammar. For what is builded there is true and built on truth. The universe of learning will open up before you in all its gracious simplicity. With truth before you, you will not look back. Oh, be not content with nothing. With truth before you, why would you look back at nothing? It's impossible. So then, and I was led to, in littleness versus magnitude, which is chapter 15, section 3. And this is one of the best sections if you want to look at in terms of being content. because, and again, it's in the negative. Don't, how not to be content. That's okay. We can learn from that. Being not content with littleness. Be sure you understand what littleness is and why you could never be content with it. Littleness is the offering you give yourself. How often do we think about making ourselves littler so that we don't seem arrogant? Oh, Lynn put up, build it is a biblical term. Thank you, Lynn. Having not read a lot of Bible, I'm trying to read it now because I can't say a book is wrong if I don't read it. And I know that Helen liked reading the Bible, so that must have come through that particular filter. Littleness is the offering you give yourself. We make ourselves little all the time. Oh, shucks. No, that's okay. No, oh, it's not much. I didn't do anything. When, you practically save somebody's life, or or the things we offer people when we're offering love to everyone, when we're offering love to someone who really needs us to be there for them, and we go, oh, shucks, no, it was nothing. Littleness is the offering you give yourself. You offer this in place of magnitude and you accept it. Everything in this world is little because it is a world made out of littleness. In the strange belief that littleness can content you. When you strive for anything in this world, in the belief that it will bring you peace, you are belittling yourself and blinding yourself to glory. Littleness and glory are the choices open to your striving and your vigilance. You will always choose one at the expense of the other. And so while I was thinking about, okay, what is it to be content, and where does it talk about being content in the course without using the word content? At first I thought, oh, okay, that's happiness, and there's a bagillion places in the course where it talks about happy. So I see you. Let me just finish this one thought before I lose it completely. And so I started looking at all these places in the course where it talks about being happy, and I was like, you know what? Happy is not really the same as content. What's the same as being content is peace. And there's a ton about peace in the course. So we'll go into that in a minute after Zulma. Hi, Zulma. We missed you this morning. Go ahead.
Hi, Miki. I had put in the chat FYIs because I too love doing the word search. Put it in quotation marks. If you put be content, I did. Put be
Oh,
content.
good
I put
idea.
be content in quote. It has to be in quotes though, because it'll come up exactly like that. But it came up 23. Be content came up 23 times.
Ooh.
FYI. Put it in quotes
Oh,
and you'll get
man.
exactly what you're looking for. I'm loving this. I'll have to leave soon. I have a 12 o'clock appointment, but I'll be here for another few minutes. All right, love.
Zulma, you're a genius. I'm going to
No, no,
call
no.
you. I'm going to call you next time I come up against something like that. But
You're funny.
I I did decide that peace was the word for me. I guess spirit led me to that, and didn't lead me to do that thing, because I know that trick about doing quotes, but I didn't come up with the be content part. So then I thought about the quote that Dove turned me on to a while ago, which is "Peace to such foolishness." I love that one, but I decided to look at "I want the peace of God," because if we're really going to be content, isn't that the peace of God? You know. And so I started. It's a long lesson, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to jump around a little bit at some sections that jumped out at me. But in the very beginning, it says, "To say these words is nothing, but to mean these words is everything." If we say we want the peace of God, but there are other things that we want just as much or more. I want, those things we were talking about earlier this morning that Raffi reminds us about in the release method. Do I want approval more than I want the peace of God? Do I want control more than I want the peace of God? Do I want control over whether Bruce leaves his body this week or in January? I said to the vet yesterday, "Oh God, not before Christmas, please. Not during the holidays, please. Let him go in January sometime. Do I want control over that more than I want the peace of God? Do I want to be at peace with whenever he decides to leave? Yes, I do. Do I want safety and security? Those three things that Raffi talks about all the time. Approval, control, and safety and security. Do I want more of those than I want the peace of God? Yeah, sometimes. To say these words is nothing, but to mean these words is everything. If you could but mean them for just an instant, there would be no further sorrow possible for you in any form. If I could be content with just wanting the peace of God, if I could be content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me, I would have the peace of God. If you could but mean them for just an instant, there would be no further sorrow possible for you in any form, in any place or time. Heaven would be completely given back to full awareness, memory of God entirely restored, the resurrection of all creation fully recognized. In other words, oneness, equality, sameness, lack of separation. No one can mean these words and not be healed. We were talking about that earlier this morning. Is it healing of the mind or healing of the body? It doesn't matter. No one can mean the words, "I want the peace of God," and not be healed. He cannot play with dreams, nor think he is himself a dream. So I can't play with this illusion. I can't run around thinking any of this is real if I really have the peace of God, if I've stepped into that awareness, that acceptance, that singularity. I can't play with dreams or think of myself as a dream. He cannot make a hell and think it is real. He wants the peace of God, and it is given him. For that is all he wants, and that is all he will receive. So then later on in paragraph 3, it says, two minds with one intent become so strong that what they will becomes the will of God, which is perfect oneness. And Lynn says, oh, Karen, Karen, yep. Do I prefer to be right or happy? Absolutely. Go ahead, Karen. Oh, you put your hand down. There you go. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Thanks, Mickey. I love this. And to say these words is nothing, but to mean these words, it's everything. What synchronicity? Because we basically what I was sharing with lesson 8 is kind of reminding me of what you're sharing here. Because in lesson 8, where he says, recognizing that your mind has been merely blank rather than believing that it is filled with real ideas is the first step to opening the way to vision. So recognizing that I don't want the peace of God, recognizing that my mind is blank, recognizing that I'm preoccupied with past thoughts, recognizing that my attack thoughts are attacking my, all of that, recognizing how much I really don't want the peace of God, and once I can do that, once I can really look at that and see that, that is the first step to opening the way to vision. That's the miracle because I'm looking at it and without judgment. That's what we do. We learn to look without judgment. And then we say, you know what? Yeah, guess what? Right now, I don't want the peace of God. I prefer to be right or I prefer fill in the blank, and just recognize that and then forgive it. So, I mean, this course, what I love about this course is it doesn't put pressure on us. There's no race to get to the top. It's meet me where I am, and meet me where I am is perfect. And we're all going to get there. And, it's just a matter of when it's just a matter of when we decide to want the peace of God. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah, that's really key in a lot of the teachings that we listen to with Ken and Keith is to recognize when ego mind or the insane voice in my head or some thought is saying, I don't want the peace of God right now because I'd rather have my cat, be healthy and healed and holy, that I can look at it and not judge it. And that is the miracle, that ability to step out of it and look at what ego mind or the insane voice is saying and to not judge it. That's the miracle. That's the atonement. That's forgiveness. Go ahead, Sharon.
Oh, I was going to say, basically, I mean, where I'm at, if my dog was sick, I would probably be exactly like you. I'm very attached to what I think Sharon wants, and the dog is actually no different than my own children. So it's kind of like what I always say: give yourself a pass because it's kind of hard to let go. You're really letting go of you when you let go of your dogs and your children, I think, at least for me anyway. And that's going to happen the way it happens. It's wholeness waking up. It's not an individual waking up. So I don't even like judge myself because my dog is just, and my cat, I had a cat for 19 years. And that was a big thing. I couldn't let go of him. But that's before this process. But I kept him like with me for so long because I couldn't, and he really needed to be put to sleep. He was suffering. So I think like you kind of have to be honest where you're at. And it's what Karen said, you forgive it. And even like, let's say something would happen and I would get it, somebody would tell me I'm dying. Where I am now, I would be upset. And I think our goal is not to be upset eventually. But how do we know? I mean, remember, these thoughts come in our mind, they're intrusive and we believe them. But the attachments or the life that we think we lived to me, it takes time. And I just love when you share. Love it. Because I'm the same as you. I just don't know if I could let go of Scruffy so easily. So I know your little cat is so important. Just love Barry. Barry's his name, right?
Brucey.
Brucey. Oh,
Bruce. I didn't name him. My friend, I'm Bruce's third owner. So he
oh
came.
my God! How long have you had him?
I think I'm not 100% sure. I'm very bad with dates, but I think about 6 years
Right.
or so. He
But
came
the
to me when
attachment
he,
to an animal becomes like a
oh,
companion. It just does.
yeah, yeah. You bond with them, and they are like your family.
They're like your children, I think. I mean, my dog thinks he is human. I don't think he knows what he is, and neither do I know what I am, usually.
Now, actually, Brucey thinks he's my husband. I I was telling Karen yesterday that I was going out with a guy once. He didn't live near here, so he came to visit and he stayed over. And he was upstairs in my office space here, and I was downstairs on the sofa. And Bruce jumped up in my lap and peed on me. He
Oh.
marked his territory. He was like, I don't know who that guy is, but I will show him the door and you are mine.
That's
So,
sweet.
yeah, so that changed our dynamic a lot because we do have a tendency to think of our pets as our children, but this cat has claimed me. He,
Probably the
he
easiest man you'll ever have.
he's definitely the best relationship I've had with a man so far.
They're
So,
hard too. I mean, yeah, I get it. I just think it's sweet that, I think my goal is to just be honest where I'm at every moment because sometimes I'm really in the head. I just, and obviously there's still a fear of love for me
mhm.
anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
But not with our pets. For some reason, we don't fear love with them because it's so unconditional with them
yeah, well,
that
that's how I feel about my boys and my grandchildren. I kind
yeah.
of, we're attached to I also appreciate having these beautiful beings in my life and how they've added to my life. They teach us unconditional love.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
Absolutely. Anyway, back to the peace of God and contentment. And um, in paragraph 3, I'll repeat that two minds with one intent become so strong that will become the will of God. And what is the will of God? The will of God is perfect oneness. Think about that. And if any, at least two of us, and I think sometimes in this group, we are so in tune with each other and we are so connected that there are times when you can really feel it. You can feel the oneness. There's this synastry, there's this energy that happens sometimes when we're together where everyone, you can feel the oneness. We hit that sweet spot every once in a while where we just, the love comes pouring through this stupid machine I'm talking to. I think I'm talking to people. I think I'm talking to separate people. But the fact that we can feel energy through a laptop proves that the will of God is perfect oneness. When we hit that, we can feel it. It goes on to say, for minds can only join in truth. In dreams, no two can. So in this dream, in this whole thing we're making up, in dreams, no two can share the same intent. To each, the hero of the dream is different. The outcome wanted not the same for both, loser and gainer. I don't feel that in this group. I don't feel like one person is better than another, higher than another, loser or gainer, you know? And I have a note in here that I wrote years ago that we don't really join with one another separate people. We're joined already. We're not joining as separate Miki, separate Sharon, separate Karen, separate Lynn, separate Dove, separate Carrie. We're not joining as we're joining with spirit. We're joining with God. We're realizing the oneness of each other and of the whole. Otherwise, we couldn't have that one intent could not be that strong as to be one with the will of God if we were joining as separate people. So I'm going to skip down to paragraph 5. Excuse me. To mean you want the peace of God is to renounce all dreams. For no one means these words who wants illusions and who therefore seeks the means which bring illusions. Whoops. Cramp in the foot. Ah. He has looked on them and found them wanting. So no one, we don't want to identify with this dream, with what's going on. I look out my window and see all separate houses and people in separate cars driving by. We don't want this dream of separation. We want the peace of God. We want to be content. He has looked on them, these dreams, and found them wanting. Now he seeks to go beyond them, recognizing that another dream would offer nothing more than all the others. Dreams are one to him, and he has learned their only difference is one of form. For one will bring the same despair and misery as do the rest. So we can't make a happy dream. we can't wish for something to change in the world of form and be happy and content. We can't be content to be wherever he wishes when we're thinking about being somewhere else and making the dream happier. We can be content to be in the peace of God. We can be content to be, we can only be content to accept that everything that's happening is for our good. And that's a hard one. That's a hard one for us to take. You know, when I'm looking at what's going on with my cat, Karen's looking at what's going on with her knee. You know, we're all having issues of one sort or another. Can we be content to be wherever he wishes when we want this dream to be a better dream? Not really. Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, thank you. And the reason that we can't be happy here if we make it a better dream or we try to make it a better dream is because it's temporary. It's not going to last. No matter, yeah, of course I can be happy here. We can be happy here for a little while, but it's not going to last. It's going to be temporary. Exactly what you said. The only way to be truly happy is eternal peace. He tells us the only real pleasure is doing God's will. And God's will for you is perfect happiness. Ken Wapnick said this, and I quoted this, which I love. He says, God's will for you is perfect happiness does not mean happiness in the dream. God's will for you is perfect happiness is, I am his son. So knowing the truth of who we are, remembering the truth of who we are, will lead to peace because we nothing can touch that. Nothing can touch that. When we remember the truth of who we are, we remember that, there's nothing outside of my mind that can affect me because I have the power. So it's that's where the gratitude and the joy comes in. But yeah, I'd love to be reminded that there's nothing here that's going to make me happy. Yeah, of course, temporarily, but temporarily doesn't last. Just like your cat. I mean, you had a lot of good years with your cat, but the cat eventually must pass, you know? And that is that's why we're practicing this course to learn, because we talked about this yesterday. You're going to have the best moments you can right now. And it's a shame sometimes. And I shouldn't say it's a shame. It's just the way it is what it is. Sometimes we don't really appreciate what we have until we know we're going to lose it. Then we really appreciate it. Then we got to like savor every moment, when we could be doing that every moment of every day, and that's a lesson learned that we can do that. We can be in that holy instant as long as we want it to be. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, nothing is permanent here. This is a world of illusions, and everything dies. Everything here dies. Nothing stays the same. And I know that Joel Goldsmith would refute a little bit of that, in terms of and the Essenes taught you could live for 600 years. They're not around anymore, so eventually everything here is going to change. There's nothing here that's unchanging. The only thing that's unchanging is God. So how could we be content in the world of form with toys, with houses and cars and jobs and, temporary goals? Oh, if I get this promotion, I'll be happy. Oh, if I get a new house, I'll be happy. Oh boy, I used to, every time I would get a little down, I had this house hunting addiction. I would search all over the country. If somebody said something, some gal I was in a group with said something about Bend, Oregon, and she was describing her little town. I started looking for houses in Bend, Oregon. I'd never been there before, thinking that if I moved to a different place, I'd be happier. If I got a new house, every once in a while I look around here. Oh, maybe if I get a different house, new neighbors, something changes. I'm going to be happier. No, that lasts a little while. You get a new car, you love it. We all love to get a new car. We think it's going to, make us happy for eons. No, it lasts a couple of months and then it's just our car again. Nothing here, nothing here. So where did I leave off? Well, that was, yeah, I think I finished paragraph 5 and then I have a bunch underlined in paragraph 7. We want the peace of God. This is no idle wish. These words do not request another dream be given us. No new cars, no new houses, no new jobs, no promotions. They do not ask for compromise, nor do they make another bargain in the hope that there may yet be one that can succeed where all the rest have failed. Can one thing succeed in making me permanently happy for the rest of my life when everything else has failed? No. To me, these words acknowledges illusions are in vain, requesting the eternal in the place of shifting dreams, which seem to change in what they offer, but are one in nothingness. They offer nothingness. Nothing here can offer us anything. At least not anything that's like the peace of God. Nothing here can offer me the peace of God. Might give me peace for a little while, but it's not the peace of God. And then in paragraph 9 says, you choose God's peace, or you have asked for dreams, and dreams will come as you requested them. Yet will God's peace come just as certainly and to remain with you forever. It will not be gone with every twist and turning of the road, to reappear unrecognized in forms which shift and change with every step you take. Oh, God. Oh gosh. I have a whole section starred here, paragraphs, just in case we don't get through this whole thing. Go read paragraphs 11 through 14. They're awesome. No one who truly seeks the peace of God can fail to find it. How reassuring is that? No one who truly seeks the peace of God can fail to find it. For he merely asks that he deceive himself no longer by denying to himself what is God's will. God's will is for us to have the peace of God. You know, we keep thinking other things, but God is just there, you know, and I know I'm anthropomorphizing and that God doesn't say anything to us and he's not a person. But God's will for us is for us to want the peace of God so much that we give up this silly dream, that we drop the ego, stop with the baby business. I love that line from Ken. And Karen wrote, no one can fail who seeks to reach the truth. Absolutely. And I'm making this sound really difficult. I'm making this sound like a big deal, like we have to work at this. But in reality, all we need is a little willingness. So forgive me, please, for making this sound like it's a big deal. You know, like we have to mean it. We have to give up everything. We can't want anything in this world. No, really, we just need a little willingness and our right minds, that inner knowing will guide us to it. No one who truly seeks the peace of God can fail to find it. For he merely asks that he deceive himself no longer by denying to himself what is God's will. Who can remain unsatisfied? Who asks for what he has already? Who could be unanswered? Who requests an answer which is his to give? The peace of God is yours. All we have to do is want it. Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, it's that little willingness that you're talking about. And also, what I've learned through not doing this is to put the kingdom of heaven first, and all else will be given unto you. When I put the Holy Spirit first, when I look at the purpose, when I recognize, if I want the new house or I want the new car, put the Holy Spirit first. Don't make this car or this house my salvation. Don't put it before the love of God or the love of my brother. When I put that before, because I have done that in the past, and so I learned from that experience, it's putting the Holy Spirit first before the house, before the car, before the this, before the that. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Listen to that inner guide. Put our willingness first. Put our willingness to be with Spirit, with God, with Jesus, whatever works in your mind to just flip that little switch and get you on the God phone. you know, just plug into the God socket. Somebody said that the other day. I liked it. Plug into the God socket first, and you'll realize what it is that you really want. And whatever it is in the world of form that's going to make you a little more comfortable, if that's what's going to get, Susan Michelle said that. Yes, thanks, Lynn. Yeah, whatever's going to get you on the right track. If getting that job or that promotion is not going to get you on the right track to getting to God, it's not going to happen. But if that's what is going to increase your trust, is going to lessen your fear of God, of being connected, then yeah, it's going to happen. So I'll resume in paragraph 12. For you was peace created. For us, peace was created, given you by its creator and established as his own eternal gift. How can you fail? How uplifting is this? How can you fail when you but ask for what he wills for you? And how could your request be limited to you alone? We're not separate. This isn't a zero-sum game. What I get in terms of the will of God has no bearing on, it doesn't take away from what anybody else gets. How can you fail when you but ask for what he wills for you? And how could your request be limited to you alone? No gift of God can be unshared. And there it is. No gift of God can be unshared. To have, give all, to all. Can't be unshared. This stuff all leads back to, each thing it says in here leads back to another thing that it said. It's beautiful. It's so connected. The workbook is connected to the text. The text is connected to the manual. It's all such a beautiful piece of gloriousness. Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, whenever I hear that, I always think of in chapter 5, he says at the let me see if I get it right. The atonement is a pure act of sharing. So we're sharing our identity with each other. It's a pure act of sharing. We're seeing one brother as all brothers, and we're loving our brother with a brother's love. It's beautiful. So yeah, the atonement is a pure act of sharing. I love the word sharing in the course. If someone was to look that up, I'm sure it's in there a lot of times. I never looked it up, but I bet it's in there a lot.
Oh,
Sharing.
yeah.
I love the sharing in the course, but the course talks about sharing. Thank
Yeah.
you.
We'll have to look that up. Thank you. Yeah. It's pure sharing. No gift of God can be unshared. It is this attribute that sets the gifts of God apart from every dream that ever seemed to take the place of truth. No one can lose, and everyone must gain whenever any gift of God has been requested and received by anyone. If if I so every time anyone practices forgiveness perfectly, it's a gift to me. If I ever practice forgiveness, it's a gift to everyone. That's the beauty of this. We're all waking up together, even people we think are doing horrible things. They're waking up. They can't help it. I cannot deny my brother. If I deny anyone anything, I'm cutting myself off from all of this. I just lost my place. How could your request be limited to you alone? No one can lose and everyone must gain whenever any gift of God has been requested and received by anyone. I can't receive anything without everybody else receiving. So if I think that there are unworthy people, I'm out of my mind. If I think I'm separate from anyone, I'm out of my mind. God gives but to unite. I can't condemn my brother. I'm shutting the door on God's gifts if I try and condemn anyone. To take away is meaningless to him. And when it is as meaningless to you, me, when it is as meaningless to me, I can be sure that I share. Let me go back and say it as it's written because I can't translate it again. And when it is as meaningless to you, you can be sure you share one will with him and he with you. And you will also know you share one will with all your brothers whose intent is yours. It's just an illusion that we're separate. But everyone's intent, everyone, even in the world of form, even in this dream, even in the illusion, all anybody ever wants is to be happy. They might think that having power over others makes them happy. They might think that being mean to somebody else is getting them something. But really, all anybody wants is to be happy. So I can't deny my brother. You will also know you share one will with all your brothers, whose intent is yours. It is this one intent we seek today, uniting our desires with the need of every heart, the call of every mind, the hope that lies beyond despair, the love attack would hide, the brotherhood that hate has sought to sever, but which still remains as God created it. With help like this beside us, can we fail today as we request the peace of God be given us? I find that so reassuring. This is such a, some of the lessons talk about, the horribleness of the ego, and there are places in the text that talk about, what we keep doing to each other and how blind we are. I love lessons like this where it's just telling us how beautiful we are and how connected we are and how everyone wants the same thing. And I had another whole lesson picked out that I was going to go through, but amazingly enough, an hour has already passed. But so that was lesson 185. I want the peace of God, and we should all follow up with lesson 109, which is one of my favorites, which is I rest in God. But we seem to be at the end of the hour. Lynn, is Rev Wayne coming today?
Yeah, I expect he'll be here. It's a couple minutes early. They're usually right here at the time. So,
Okay. All
and
right. Well,
him and
if
Brian.
anybody else has anything that they want to say about being content to be wherever he wishes, and maybe next week I'll do Zoom. We could do this one line again next week, and I'll put in be content and see what those 25. I'll look into it and see if there's more to be said on this or if we're going to move on to the next line. But I want to thank everybody for being here with me today. Thank you all who contributed in the chat box and on screen. There's Karen. Hi, sister. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say I love that question you just asked. Like, be content. I can be content, and I am willing to be content in this present moment. And that means because, to be content wherever he wishes for me is where the Holy Spirit is, which is right now. So being content in every moment, not being preoccupied with past thoughts, not worrying about, the future, not worrying about the past, just being in this present moment where everything is perfect and recognizing it's perfect, being content in every moment. That is the holy instant. And he says the holy instant as long as you want it to be. So it can be all day, every day, if we really trained our minds to do that. So for me, that's being content. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Karen. You're so brilliant. I love you. Okay. So
It takes one
Karen has her hand
to
up.
know one.
Sharon's
Oh,
got
I
her
have my
hand up.
hand up. I wanted to say, Keith, I was listening to him the other day, the last teaching, and he said for 30 years he did the course and he still wasn't getting anywhere and he was suffering. And that's when he bought Ken Wapnick, every teaching he could get his hands on. And I don't know that Ken Wapnick did anything because everybody that's waking up is waking up from the oneness. So, but he attributes a lot of that to Ken. So it does take time. This is, because I think where Keith is now, like his teachings are so powerful. But I mean, after I get off of it, like an hour later, I'll say, oh shit, I fell down again. you know, I mean, I just do that because it's like, and so I really, what he said the other day, Keith, was, when you really get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and obviously I'm still not sick and tired, but I could have been with everything that's happened to me. But I do feel that it's happening organically. I think it's an organic process that the Son of God is doing, not or let's say oneness is doing, not the personality. The personality is just willing. But when a person says, well, you have to be willing, well, I think all of us are willing. I mean, we wouldn't be on here if we weren't willing, right? So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't even mind being wrong anymore. And here comes Rev Wayne. Because,
Yeah.
being wrong is really the booby prize. I mean, being right is the booby prize. I mean, we all want to be right because we're conditioned to believe we are right, but we're not right about anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, Miki, for all you shared.
Thank you, sweetie. Thanks everybody for being here with me. And I'm going to hand it over to Lynn and Rev Wayne.
Thank you so much, Miki. Great teaching. And thank you everyone for your comments. And as I was listening to you, the realization came very clear to me. The being willing and the acceptance is accepting my role that I'm playing right now and not wishing for a different role. Not saying, oh, I wish I could just be awakened now. I wish I could just be the enlightened one. I wish I could be. Don't wish for that. That's not your role. You're here to play the part you're playing right now. And if you can't accept that, then what more could you possibly get? It's just impossible. You'll never be happy, even if you did get, what you think was enlightened. You're still going to be, looking for something else because you don't want to play the part you're given. Play your part. That's what you're here for. We're not here to be somebody else and become
I
somebody
just
else. We're
love
not
what
going to.
you're saying, Lynn. I have to tell you, it's the most beautiful thing anyone could say, because that's basically what we all need to do. If we are crying, we are crying. If we are happy, we are happy. But again, all of it it's what you're saying. You can't be anywhere where you can't pretend to be, because that's what I did for years, was try to be whatever, like people that look real spiritual, people that were awake. And this is happening organically. So I love what you shared. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, guys. Thank you all so much. And thank you, everyone, for being patient here.